Yeah. And with like the little circle. Yeah. Wait, so how do you know these haven't set up We should handle that. And it's a special blessing. And so take the ribbon in both hands. I think she gave you a little start. You don't, all you need here is a few stitches. You don't need to carry it. And ask you, show how you feel. Together. I'm ready to start. I'm waiting.
Shalom. Is this on? No. Is this on? Doesn't sound to me like it's on. Does it sound to you like it's on? He says it's on. Doesn't sound like it's on. As long as where did Katie go? Can I be heard in the room? Yes. Can I be heard in the video? Yes. Okay. So we're good. We are here today to say goodbye to Lil Levy, to honor and respect our mother, our sister, Nana, aunt, friend. I ask that cell phones be turned off or at least silenced in order to be respectful. Kol omer kra, va'omar ma ekra, kol habasar chatzir, v'chol chasto katzitz hasadeh, yavesh chatzir naval tzitz, ki ruach Adonai nashva bo, achen chatzir ha'am, yavesh chatzir naval tzitz, udvar Elohim, yakum leolam. A voice says, cry out, and I say, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, when a wind of the Lord blows over it. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God shall endure forever. Karachem av al banim, rachem Adonai al yireav, ki hu yada yitzreinu zachur ki afar anachnu. Like a parent merciful with children, is God merciful with us. Knowing how we are fashioned, remembering that we are but dust. Our days are like grass. We flourish like a flower. The wind passes over it, and it is gone, and no one can recognize where it grew. But the Lord's compassion with us, God's righteousness to children's children remain, age after age, unchanging. Psalm 15. Do we deserve to enter God's sanctuary? Can we merit a place in the presence of God? Live with integrity, do what is right, speak the truth without deceit. Have no slander upon your tongue, do no evil to others, do not mistreat your neighbor. Spurn a contemptible person, but honor those who revere Adonai. Never retract a promise once made, though it may bring you harm. Lend no money at unfair rates, accept no bribe against the innocent. Make these deeds your own, then shall you stand firm forever. This is my prayer to you, my God. Let not my spirit wither and shrivel in its thirst for you, and lose the dew with which you sprinkled it when I was young. May my heart be open to every broken soul, to orphaned life, to every stumbler wandering unknown and groping in the shadow. Bless my eyes, purify me to see humanity's beauty rise in the world, and the glory of my people in its redeemed land, spreading its fragrance over all the earth. Deepen and broaden my senses to absorb a fresh, green, flowering world, to take from it the secret of blossoming in silence. Grant strength to yield fine fruits, quintessence of my life steeped in my very being, without expectation of reward. And when my time comes, let me slip into the night, demanding nothing, God, of humanity or of you. I now invite grandson Zach to deliver a message on behalf of his father and uncle.
I would like to read some remarks about Nana that were prepared by my father and my uncle. How do we begin to characterize and commemorate the 70 years of our lives that we spent with our mother? There are so many wonderful memories and humorous recollections that we could share, but none of them individually define the permanent impact she has had on our lives. It is really about the values she has instilled in us and the lessons she has provided as a role model. Growing up, we always looked at our mother as someone that was universally loved. We just can't recall any negative interactions that she had with people. That was the first lesson we learned from her. She treated everyone with kindness and respect, regardless of the circumstance. She never had to win a debate or really an encounter of any kind. It was the ongoing relationship with the other party that mattered. Neither of our parents were strong disciplinarians, and I sometimes wonder how we survived our high school and college years. But the truth is that we watched with great admiration the role they had in the community, the respect that they garnered, and the strong friendships they developed. Lil taught us that quality of life is not defined just by what you can do for yourself, but rather the relationships you develop and the gratification those relationships provide. But when I became a parent, I really began to understand what defined Lil. Despite all the social relationships she had, there was nothing that was more important to her than her family, and particularly her grandchildren. When I would read the book, The Giving Tree, to my kids, I thought there's nobody that it better epitomizes than our mother. She would give and give without any restraint whatsoever, and that gave her the most pleasure. In a time when it is sometimes difficult to relate to prior generations, her grandchildren all idolized her. And I believe they have all learned the same lessons from her that were so important to my development. We could go on and on, but as we think about the messages that have poured in over the last several days, they all had a common theme. Your mother was a remarkable woman, elegant, charming, full of life. She was always so kind to me growing up and almost like a second mother. These are the traits that create immortality. I am 100% sure that my children will be better people because of the lessons that they learned from their Nana. And I hope this will carry on into future generations as well.
I now invite Brittany to give Beth's message.
I'll now attempt to represent my mom, Beth, in the words she put together about her mother-in-law and the strong bond that they shared.
Please.
This better? From the moment I was welcomed into the Levy family 37 years ago, Lil became more than just a mother-in-law to me. She became my true mother, my mentor, and one of my dearest friends. Lil was a fountain of knowledge and love, teaching me invaluable lessons about parenting, cooking, and being a devoted partner. Every delicious dish that I make is one of Lil's famous recipes. We often spoke on the phone for hours, and she was my confidant, my guide through life's complexities, always ready with advice, comfort, or a well-timed joke. I always admired Lil's impeccable sense of style. Once Lil learned how to use Facebook, she would keep me informed on all the family happenings through her savvy navigation of Facebook. But above all, Lil cherished her family with a boundless love. She was intimately involved in her grandchildren's lives, every event, every milestone, every challenge. They knew they could always count on her encouraging words and prideful cheer. For me, Lil's absence will leave an irreplaceable void. Her love, her laughter, and her wisdom were gifts that I will carry in my heart forever. Lil, thank you for being the best mother I could ask for. You will be deeply missed, but never forgotten.
I now invite the grandchildren, Josh, Jason, Dana, Zach, Brittany, and Callie to come forward.
Anyone in particular? There you go. I guess as the oldest grandson, I'll kick things off. So when my Uncle Bruce and Uncle Fred asked me if I wanted to say something, obviously I immediately said yes. And I've now spent the last week or 4 days in total anxiety over what I should say. How do you memorialize someone so amazing? Do I talk about the countless amazing qualities she has, her caring, kindness? Do I talk about her upbringing? What am I supposed to say? But the truth is, I just want to share who Nana was for me. For me, she was this maternal, nurturing, caring mother figure, and she was my movie buddy. That's what I'm always going to remember when I think about Nana. I'm going to continue to keep her alive in my house every time we put a movie on. I'm going to share memories of the movies and the amazing things we did and how she took care of me. So I want to share some of those memories with you. Some are small and they're all random, but they're the things that I'm going to remember about my Nana always, and I'm going to share with my family. I'm always going to remember that every time I went to her house, she had a challah bread pudding waiting in the fridge because she knew it was my favorite. Every time I dig into butter pecan or pralines and cream ice cream, I'm going to think of the Mannings she had in the freezer for me. I'm going to remember the greatest snack collection a kid could ever want, with that box on her coffee table filled with candy and the jug of hard pretzels I used to snack on every day. I'm going to think of the slot machine that she would give me and Callie baskets and nickels to play when we were kids. I'm going to remember that no matter where we went, Nana was always the best dressed and the most made up. And I'm going to remember getting in a fight with her one time when I was visiting her, and me and her were supposed to go to a movie. just the two of us, and we were running late because she had to touch up her makeup. I'm always going to remember that anytime I visited her, the first thing we did was pick a movie and what day we were going to see it, and we planned the whole trip around that. I'm going to think about when I would visit Nana and Pop, just myself, and while he was at work every day, I got my day dates with my Nana, just one-on-one time. I'm going to think about sitting on the floor in front of her and her scratching my head and my neck and my back with her nails, and how calm and peaceful it made me feel, and how I love doing the same thing with my wife and kids now. Although in retrospect, part of me thinks it was in the front room and she just didn't want me playing with all the expensive stuff she had in there, so she knew that would keep me still. This next one's like a core memory for me. I remember going to see My Girl. I was 8 or 9 years old, and we came home and I was fine, and about 10 minutes later, I just started crying, yelling, "It's not fair, why'd the boy have to die?" And I ran out of the room. And I sat on the steps going up to the upstairs, and Nana came and just sat with me and comforted me. I'm going to remember a time at the shore when Mom and I both got food poisoning, and Nana was the one taking care of us. I remember seeing a movie with her in Florida that I picked, and a very awkward sex scene came on, and me and her kind of side-eyed, looked at each other, and slid a couple inches apart and never spoke of it again.
No, she said, "This isn't for me."
I'm going to know that Nana was my most trusted movie advisor. If she gave a movie a good review, I knew it was going to be good. There was about a decade where I only listened to her reviews, and my love of biopics comes from her love of biopics. I remember constantly feeling like an idiot on the golf course because my grandma would constantly outdrive and outscore me. I remember after putting my kids to bed, countless nights where I would call her and we would just talk for half an hour, 45 minutes about life, about what movies and shows we needed to watch for each other. I'm going to remember her unlimited supply of mini soaps that she had in her guest room. A memory that I was reminded of when me and Mabel went down to visit her last week, and looking around the empty guest bathroom, all that was there was a Ziploc bag of Shell soaps, and getting to share that amazing memory with my daughter. I'm going to remember that no matter how many times I did it, every time I saw her, I would program a remote control and write real big on paper how to switch between videos, and knowing that next time I was at her house, I was going to do the same thing. I remember when me and Maggie went up to dinner to tell her that we were pregnant with Mabel, and before we got a chance to, she called Maggie out for not having a glass of wine with our dinner and asking why. I remember vividly becoming the second, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth most important person in my house as I got married and had grandkids. Calls often started with, "Josh, darling, how's Maggie? How are the kids?" And only after I answered did she ask how I was. And I was completely okay with it. I'm going to remember our family cracking up at Nana, never quite figuring out FaceTime, and half of her face always being out of the screen. And then just a few memories my kids wanted to share. They're going to remember giving her big hugs. They're going to remember getting to eat out for lunch and dinner whenever they were with Nana. And they're going to remember getting rides in her walker and sitting at the water park with her. There's two quotes by writers I wanted to share. The first is one of my favorite writers, Aaron Sorkin, and he wrote, "Being elite is not a bad word, it's an aspirational one." Nana was as elite as they come, as a person, as a mother, grandmother, as a great-grandmother. I know that in my life I will continue to aspire to be like she was. The second one is, no one is actually dead until the ripples they cause in the world die away. And I think we can all agree that Nana created ripples that will last forever, way beyond any of our lifetimes in this room. Thank you.
No, gosh. I'm kidding.
My Nana came from a lineage of incredibly strong and resilient women. Her own mother lived to be over 100 years old, and my Nana was no exception. She was the matriarch of our family. A lot of my core memories revolve around family events and her at the center, orchestrating everything. She loved to host, and she took great pride in gathering our family together. She was always proper, fashionably dressed, and looked as if she had just come out of a hair salon, which in many cases she did. She was a social butterfly. Even in her 80s and 90s, her social calendar was more active than mine. And she played bridge weekly until the very end of her life. She epitomized the Jewish mother stereotype. She always overcooked. She never spoke a bad word about my dad, even when it involved a white lie or two. And she gently, or not so gently in some cases, suggested her grandkids get married and have kids of their own without any regard of the timeline for their relationships. After meeting a spouse once, she was pushing marriage. And I finally understood why she did that when my daughter, Harper, was born. And I saw the joy it brought my Nana, and I became an afterthought. Excuse me. Whenever I spoke to my Nana on the phone, she always used to answer the exact same way. Jason, darling. Well, Nana, darling, I love you and I'll miss you dearly.
Choice. I cherish the special time I spent with my Nana. Our many trips to Florida and Scranton hold some of my greatest memories. Nana was always very fashionable and always had her hair and nails done perfectly every Friday. There wasn't ever a time she wasn't all done up. I remember going to the beach with Nana when I was very young. She would sit on the beach with me and Jason for hours, dipping her feet in the ocean and building castles in the sand. She didn't even worry about her beautifully done hair when she was playing on the beach with us. As I got older, I looked forward to sleepovers in her Florida apartment. I spent the night sleeping in her squeaky old beds and woke up to her delicious muffins and bagels. She always offered us cereal from those huge boxes from Sam's Club that were really stale. While we waited for the rest of the family to wake up and join us, I would play cards with Nana. She would always ask to play Mahjong, which I don't know how to play, so we would end up playing War or Go Fish. In Scranton, I have memories of family holidays where the whole extended family would celebrate at her home. Eventually, all the adults would fall asleep on the sofa, and the kids kept busy playing on her slot machine or with the old toys from her basement. For dinner, she always served her baked salami and famous challah French toast to make sure there was food for me. She had many signature desserts that she displayed after dinner. She was an amazing cook and even better baker. I loved her special chocolate chip cookies. Although she really did bake all the cakes, I later found out that the chocolate chip cookies were straight from a Nestle's Toll House box. In the last several years, I spent countless hours talking to Nana on the phone, many days a week. She would always start the call with, "Well, what do you know?" I would tell her all about my teaching, my kids at school, my doctor's appointments, and dog class. She would then repeat, "Well, what do you know?" Some might say this was because her memory was going. But even on her worst days, she was very sharp. What was really happening is that she was giving me a second opportunity to tell her about my dating life and any gossip she could get out of me. However, she didn't really need me for gossip. She was always the first to know everything because she already saw it on the book, otherwise known as Facebook. I end the speech in the same way that my phone calls ended with Nana in the last year. She would ask, "So when are you getting married?" I would give her some type of response, and she would say, "I'm not getting any younger." I would always respond with, "You're just going to have to keep on living." This went on for so long, she eventually changed her question to, "Skip getting married," and she would ask, "When are you having children?" So Nana, when the time comes and I finally do get married and have my first child, I'm so sad that you won't be here to share with me. But I know you'll be looking down proudly and always with me.
While I miss Sorry. While I miss my Nana immensely already,
Before I share the words I prepared, I just want to reflect that it's abundantly clear in each of the grandkids' speeches that while each of them have a different flavor, we all had the same themes of our memories and our individual relationships with our Nana. We all heard the "what do you know?" and "Jason darling" and "when are you having kids?" But we all had our own individual relationships. As we come together to remember my beloved Nana, we celebrate a life brimming with love, laughter, and unforgettable memories. Her home in Scranton was a haven of joy where mornings began with the aroma of challah French toast and afternoons were filled with card games, slot games, trips to Manning's, and hide and seek in the basement, and journeys through old photo albums that brought her family's history to life. Nana's dedication to bridging the physical distance with her grandkids led her to brave the digital world, where she was faced with the challenge of tapping the iPad's icons with her long, impeccably manicured nails. We would sit down together for tech tutorials, which she took very seriously, serving testament to her dedication to maintaining her bonds. To make it easier for Nana to use her iPad, we taught her about the world of voice assistants. We introduced her to Siri, but she wasn't quite comfortable with the concept of bossing anyone around, even a voice assistant. So she would say to Siri, "Hey Siri, can you please call my granddaughter, Brittany Levy? Thank you very much." At one particular practice session, I told her, "Nana, you can ask Siri anything you want." So without skipping a beat, she treated Siri as though it were Aladdin, granting her one last wish. And she asked, "Siri, will you please find a boyfriend for my granddaughter, Brittany Levy? She's a lovely gal." Unfortunately, this was above Siri's pay grade, but that didn't stop my Nana from channeling her inner Yenta. As many of us recalled, she was known for asking the question about marriage at untimely times. Years before Zach and Remy were engaged, she went up to them and said, "I don't get it. Why don't you guys just get married already?" I think Remy liked that one. There are countless stories like this about comments my Nana said as her filter faded away, and they will keep us laughing for years. Yet at the heart of each tale is her intent to spread joy and happiness among her loved ones. It was as though she embodied the spirit of a kind-hearted Larry David, with her candid observations always meant to protect and care for those she cherished most. Although my Nana is no longer physically here with us, her spirit has profoundly shaped our family's values and traditions and will continue to influence us for generations to come, as she has woven her love and laughter into the very fabric of our lives.
While I miss my Nana immensely already, I take solace in the fact that Nana lived a long, fruitful life and that I was able to spend 28 of my most formative years with her. She is certainly someone who left a lasting mark on her family and whose memory will be passed down through the generations. As Jason said, Nana was a true matriarch in every sense of the word. Nothing gave Nana more joy than bringing family together and cooking and baking for her children and grandchildren. My childhood is filled with memories of celebrating Jewish holidays at Nana's house in Scranton with our extended family, which she loved to host. Every meal would start with a sliced salami roll and end with a home-baked 7-Up cake. As I reflect on those great and happy memories, it is clear that Nana was the glue of the Levy clan. Nana had so many admirable qualities. She was the kindest, most caring, and even-keeled person I've ever met. I never once saw Nana get upset or frustrated with people, and she had a unique ability to make everyone she touched feel special. But in addition to her external kindness, she was tough as nails, a strong-willed woman as only a Jew growing up in the 1930s and 1940s could be, and a quality she has passed down to her children. Until her very last day, and Nana never complained, she shouldered through any pain and suffering without ever mentioning it to others or letting it get in the way of life. If I have half the discipline and strong will that Nana had, I'll know I'll have made her proud. But nothing defined Nana more than the joy and fulfillment that she derived from seeing her family. Her love for us, her genuine excitement to see and hear from me, and to hear about what was going on in my life, was unmatched by anyone. There are two great examples of our irreplaceable bond. Number one, Nana was the only person in my life that at age 28 referred to me exclusively as Zachy. No matter how much I had matured or grown professionally, to Nana, I was always her sweet little innocent Zachy. That nickname is representative of my relationship with Nana. No matter how much was going on in my life or how stressful my workday was, when I spoke with Nana, she brought me back to my boyish innocence and reminded me not to take life too seriously. Nothing else in the world mattered. The second example is, as my siblings know well, Nana used to carry a single photo in her wallet. A photo of me from my senior year of high school. For nearly a decade, Nana brought my photo around with her. Everywhere she went, Dana and Brittany would ask, Nana, why don't you carry around photos of us? That's my Zachy, she'd respond. It is surreal that my Nana is no longer with us. I miss her greatly, and there will always be a gap at the dinner table for Rosh Hashanah or Passover. I know that wherever Nana is now, she's shining down on us, egging on her Zachy, and proudly showing all the other Levies in heaven my yearbook photo in her pocketbook.
I now call upon Yvette, Lil's trusted and loved caregiver.
Oh, no. Good friend. Listen for what? Oh, no, I'm not a grandchild.
Hi, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Yvette Taylor Hay. I've been taking care of Lil's from August 29, 2022, until she took her last breath. Lil's had a wonderful team of caregivers who loved her, and she loved us dearly. They all sent their love to the family. She had Sharon, who was with her on Saturdays and Sundays from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. She had Dina, which she says Dina reminds her of Dana. Then she had Mikal. She had Dina on Sunday nights, Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights. She had Mikal on Tuesday nights. Sharon was an RN by profession. Dina was a certified nurse's assistant. Mikal was a certified nurse's assistant. And myself was LPN and a registered medical assistant. A tribute to our dear Lil. Lil was a beautiful soul, and her presence brought warmth to this world, making even these most challenging days feel a little brighter. Her laughter and genuine kindness lift our spirits and creating last memories that we will treasure always. She may no longer walk beside us. However, her legacy will live on, the countless lives she's touched and the indelible mark she has left on our hearts. We will carry forward the lessons she taught us, the inspiration she provided, and the friendship she generously shared. Rest in peace, dear Lil. Your presence will deeply miss, but your spirit will forever remain in our hearts and in the memories of those who were fortunate enough to know you. And I wrote a poem for the family. To Fred, Bruce, Beth, Rosemary, Jason and Ariel, Zaki and Remy, Brittany, and Dana, and Paul, Josh and Maggie, and Callie. And to her most precious gems were her great-grands, Mabel, Hazel, Martin, and baby Harper. A limb has fallen from the family tree. I keep hearing that voice says, grieve not for me. Remember the best times, the laughter, the song, the good life I lived while I was strong. Continue my heritage. I'm counting on you. Keep smiling, and surely the sun will shine through. My mind is at ease. My soul is at rest. Remembering all I truly was blessed. Continue traditions, no matter how small. Go on with your life. Don't worry about faults. I miss you all dearly. So keep up your chin. until the days come we're together again.
Hillel, one of the great rabbis of the Mishnah, used to say, "Bamakom she'ein anashim hishtadel lihiyot ish." In a place where no one is being a mensch, you be the mensch. Or alternative translation, you should do the right thing even when others are not. Fred and Bruce told me that that was one of the lessons they learned from their mother, to always do the right thing, even if someone does wrong to you. This is a very important life message and not one that's easy to implement, whether it comes from Lil or from Hillel. This is the way Lil taught her children, and this is the way Lil behaved throughout her life. Lil imparted her values to her children and to others, both verbally and by example. Instilling Jewish values in her children was very important to her. Lil kept kosher, 2 sets of dishes, the way it was supposed to be. Lil made sure that there was a weekly family Friday night Shabbat dinner. And over the years, Lil was the host for a great many extended family occasions as well. Rosh Hashanah dinner, including the famous salami doused in oil appetizer with tiny rye bread pieces. Seder, Thanksgiving. She made brisket, cornflake chicken, and the ubiquitous chocolate cake with hard sugar frosting. Lil loved to cook and loved to bake, and she was great at both, an inspiring model. Lil and Benji also modeled respect and caring towards each other. Lil and Benji complimented each other and loved each other very much. Temple Israel was very important to the Levy family for generations, including, but not limited to, Lil's in-laws, Jacob and Mary Levy, who were founding members, and her brother-in-law Bernie, who was synagogue president from 1972 to 1974. The cantor this morning took me into the gallery and pointed out the picture. Lil was active in the sisterhood and in Hadassah. The family had the same seats for the High Holy Days, 3 to 4 rows back along the whole row because there was so many of them. One of Lil's values that Bruce and Fred mentioned was self-care. Lil liked to dress up, and she was quite the fashionista. She always looked gorgeous. As we heard, Lil had a standing Friday appointment with a hairdresser every single week, up to and including the Friday before she died. But when one granddaughter came by on Friday afternoons and invited Lil to go with her to her favorite beach spot, Lil happily went, brand new hairdo and all, because being with her grandchildren was even more important to her than keeping her hair in place. Lil was the cool, hip mother. When the boys were in high school, Lil worked in a local children's clothing store. Other students would come up to Fred and Bruce and say, "Your mother is so cool." Lil was the mother who was delighted to welcome her kids' friends into her house. She could relate to all ages. She would draw people to her and become instant friends. Everyone liked her. And The tendency of friends of Bruce and Fred to rave about her to them didn't go away when they became adults. Just a couple of months ago, Fred had a birthday party, and many of his guests came up to him to report how much they enjoyed talking to his mother. Life was not always easy for Lil. In 1997, she lost her beloved husband, Benji, her wonderful daughter, Debbie, and her younger brother, Sam, all within the space of 13 dark and difficult months. There is no question that it was very hard for Lil, but she picked herself up and kept going. She did what needed to be done. She was strong, and she continued to take joy in her life and in her family. She had an excellent role model for that. Her own mother, Ethel, had breast cancer, lost her husband, and lost her house in quick succession when she was 70 years old. Ethel went on to live to be 102. B'makom she'ein anashim, hishtadel lihiyot ish. When a mensch is needed, strive to be that mensch. Over the years, Lil became the family matriarch. She was the glue that held the clan together. She was the nana who played on the floor with the kids or on the beach, as we heard. She was the inspiration. 10 years ago, Lil took the family to Israel. They had a wonderful trip seeing the sights and hiking through the country. They were so used to Lil's vibrant, youthful, vivacious approach to life that it was only in retrospect that they realized how amazing it was to have a trip like that with Lil, who was 86 years old at the time. Lil loved to be with her family, and her family loved to be with her. B'makom she'ein anashim hishtadel lihiyot ish. Lil's philosophy, I was told, was to enjoy being with the family and not to interfere in their lives. After hearing all the grandchildren speak, I'm not totally sure that that was accurate. But being able to transmit values without interfering is a pretty narrow tightrope in any case. Over the past few years in Florida, she was blessed with frequent visits and phone calls from the family. Sunday night was date night with Fred. Every Sunday night they would go out for dinner together, and it's not clear which one enjoyed it more. She was blessed to spend the last days of her life with her son, her grandson, and her great-granddaughter. So many times, particularly last year, so many times Lil was sick, and she rallied and fought and got better. Then over the past several weeks, she stopped eating and stopped taking her pills. She was a tough cookie, and she went out peacefully on her own terms. And she died the way she lived, being a mensch, never complaining, telling everyone, I'm fine. B'makom she'ein anashim, hishtadel lihiyot ish. The lessons that she taught, the values that she modeled remain and will be emulated by her family, Rose, Fred, Bruce, and Beth, her grandchildren, Josh and Maggie, Callie, Jason and Ariel, Dana, Zach and Remy, Brittany, her great-grandchildren, Mabel, Hazel, Martin, Harper, and no doubt by their children as well. Thus, she will be bound up in the bonds of life. May she rest in peace. Amen. Amen. Psalm 23.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לו ובבשר, בין יודע שיעבר ביצעני, על מי מנוחת ינחלני. נפשי ישובב, נפשי ישובב, יבוא חייני במגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי הלך בגלי צלמה בבל, לא יראה, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תברך לפניי, תברך לפניי שולחן, נגד צורריי, נגד צורריי, דשמה מנתה בשמן, דשנת בשמן ראשי, כל עזיר ביה, כל עזיר ביה, אך טוב, בא בחסד, ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Eternal God, you are my shepherd, I shall not want. You make me lie down in green pastures. You lead me beside still waters. You restore my soul. You guide me in paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Yes, even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. With rod and staff, you comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the eternal God forever. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, our God and God of our ancestors. 1,000 years in your sight are as a passing day, an hour of night. The generations come and go while you endure forever. We are always in your hand, Adonai, in death as in life. Help us who mourn the loss of Leah bat Nahum HaKohen ve'Eti, Lillian Levy, to look beyond this moment, to realize that death cannot destroy the bonds of your everlasting love. Sustain us with the knowledge afforded by faith that you will not allow us to suffer oblivion, for you, Eternal One, have taught us the way of life. Through you we gain eternity, and let us say, Amen. I ask now for the pallbearers, Mark Levy, Jay Levy, Josh Bullock, Jason Levy, Zach Levy, Zachy Levy, Barbie Goldberg, Callie Bullock, Lynn Pasekis, Lynn Pasekis, to please come forward. I ask that everybody please remain in the room. We're going to rise, but I ask that everybody remain in the room, please, until we have gone entirely out of the room. Then please follow us out, and there will be a line going to the cemetery. We rise now for the El Malay prayer.
El mobile rachamim, shochet b'meramim, ametzemenach anegonetachet gavan fei, השכינה במעלות קדושים ודהורים כזוהר חרגייה מזהירים עבד נשמת ליה בת נחום הכהן והתי שגלגה בעולמה וגן עדן תהי מנוחתה ענה בעל הרחמים אצלך בסדר כנפיך לעולמים וצירו ברביצרו ורחם את נשמתה אדוני ונחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבו ולומר אמן.
El Malay Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Leah, Bat Nachum HaKohen Ve'eti, Lillian Levy, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful one, we ask that Lil find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen. The pallbearers. Yeshev b'sefer el-yom, v'tzel shadai yitlonan. Omar l'Adonai maksim sudati, Elohai evtach bo. Ki hu yatzilcha mipach yakush midever havot. Ve'evreto yasach lach, v'tachat knafav tachzeh. Tzina u'schora amito. Lo tira mipachad laila, mechetz ya'uf yomam, midever ba'ofel yahalo, miketev yashut soharayim. Yipol mitzidcha elef urvava mimineka, elecha lo yigash, rak beinecha tabit, v'shilumat risha'im tireh, ki ata Adonai machsi, elyon samta me'onecha, lo ta'aneh elecha ra'a, v'nega lo yukra, v'ohalecha. Ki malachra gitzavela, Z'shomercha l'chol brachecha, al kafayim yisa'ucha, peh tugokcha eben raglecha, al shachal b'tehem yirbil, tiros kafir v'tanim, kikol kasha ve'afal tehu, asaf tehu kiyadashani, kipranim kitaneh, kimalam kidasara.
How are you? Sorry.